2 races to go then of Season 2 of our F1 2020 career mode. Hello everyone, and welcome back guys to round 21 of Season 2 of our F1 2020 My Team career mode, where today we're here back ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Obviously, if you missed out on yesterday's video, I would definitely recommend going back and checking that one out. It was quite a good race, I think it's fair enough to say, based on our standards in Formula 1 at the moment. Obviously, the title fight really heating up between myself and Valtteri Bottas, with just 2 Grand Prix left of the year. There will be spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now. So, last time out then, we performed a last to first, which went from an 8-point deficit to our main rival Bottas, to an 8-point lead now over our main rival Valtteri Bottas. I say our main rival, it is now officially a 2-horse race between myself and the Finn. Hamilton cannot make it world title number 8 this year. He cannot break Schumacher's record. That'll have to wait until Season 3 at the very best. But yeah, we've got 8 points over Bottas. Mercedes, though, still 26 points up in the Constructors' Championship. But if you have a look at our recent results, there have been countless 1-2s. What's that? 4 1-2s in the last 5 Grand Prix. We've been on an absolute tear as a team in recent weeks. So hopefully, if we can continue that, if we get 2 more 1-2s, we win it, no matter what Mercedes do. If they get 3rd, 4th with fastest laps, they don't outscore us. But sorry, we outscore them by too many points. I can words good. I do promise you guys that. But yeah, anyway, heading into the Brazilian Grand Prix this weekend, we're still running quite well on funds, so I might try and get one more upgrade for the facilities. I don't think there's anything we can do for just 4 million credits at the moment. I think everything is 5 million, so we will go with a chassis fabrication upgrade. 5 million takes us back down to 7.3, because we do obviously want to renew George Russell's contract at 8.1 million. I know some of you have sort of said maybe we should get someone else. George is doing the tricks at the end of the day. Sometimes he's a little bit too good for us. I'm not going to deny that. He's been absolutely fantastic this year. But at the end of the day, he's scoring big points. And as a team, that's all we really want. Whether we have a little bit of a civil war in Season 3, we will wait and find out. But he's doing everything we need. So we're going to keep hold of him ready for the next season. Let's dive in, though, then, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix weekend. Coming towards the end of our fuel-saving run, we have got to remember as well, we could theoretically wrap up the World Championship this weekend. It would take Bottas a bit of a disaster class, I'll be honest, but you never know quite what's possible here. We're just still trying to pick up R&D points, because normally the AI do get quite a few upgrades on the car ready for Season 3. Coming to the end of our qualifying simulation run then, the straight line speed seems to be one of the big key things this weekend that's finding us a lot of pace. Obviously you need to be able to stick it in the corners as well, but yeah, the car feels quick around this track. A 106.8 in the end of free practice is a rather good time. So R&D points earned then, it's going to take us up to almost 8,000 points, if I'm not mistaken. We might as well just get a couple of upgrades on the car. Well, I don't think we're going to get any rule changes now as we head into Abu Dhabi. And even if we do, maybe it'll spice it up just a little bit more for Season 4. So yeah, we may as well try and put some upgrades on. And yeah, we're getting closer to Team Acclaim level 18. I do desperately want to max that out at some point. So, back at the factory then, we might as well try and get a few upgrades on the car. We will go with the last of the engine upgrades, the fuel flow regulator. We may as well rush him as well. Like I said, we've got enough spare R&D at the moment. We will go with the DRS maximum slot gap, and we will also go with the front wing end plates. We may as well try and give ourselves a beast of a car. Ready for the last race. I think I accidentally just put that one on standard. Can I do that? No, I don't know when it'll be ready. That might have been a bit of a stupid mistake. We have got only able to put one chassis upgrade on the car, though. That will be the brake disc width. So that will come on ready for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as well. And we probably should, have a look at some durability upgrades based on how bad it's been throughout most of Season 2. We'll go with turbo durability, and I think we can only do one, can't we, on that side of things. So yeah, there we go. Another 5 upgrades on the car, ready for the finale in Abu Dhabi. That should, as you can see on the graph, give us a huge advantage ready for the final race of the season. We're down to less than 1,000 R&D points now. If we get any rule changes, we are completely screwed Let's dive in though, we've got bigger things to worry about. Let's head into qualifying. Here we go then, heading straight out into Q2. We're going to see if we can try and get through into Q3 on a set of mediums this weekend. Just go for a bit of an alternate strategy over the AI. We're going to need about a mid 106 if we want to be able to get it. So it should theoretically be possible around here. But we will need a pretty decent lap here in Q2 through the Senna S. A little bit loose and lively. Just trying to learn the limits of the car, see what it's capable of this weekend. Obviously, we've still got a very, very fresh power unit strapped to the back of this thing, so it's still rather quick, as are a few tenths, a tenth up, sorry, I should say, on Danny Kvyat in Sector 1. It should be through the twisty bits. Obviously, we're getting a lot more time on a car like an Alpha Tauri. 105s will probably be the pole time here, unless something dramatically changes in Q3, so it's just ridiculous how quick the Formula 1 cars are at the moment in this series. But anyway, down in towards Sector 3, just trying to avoid the wheel spin. It's been a fairly tidy lap, but not the quickest in the world. Just not taking too many big risks. Can we get good power out the final corner? Yes, we can. So we should be around a mid 106, but maybe it's not quite as quick as I thought it would be. Up towards the finish line, it's going to be a 106.4. So it does actually put us ahead of Bottas, who is also on the mediums, but behind our teammate Russell, who went out on soft. So that might have been critical, actually, for our strategy, and I didn't even realise it. Go then at the end of Q2, myself, George, and Bottas all making it through into the final session, albeit only just for Bottas and I. Got a little bit of squeaky bum time towards the end of that session there. 4 tenths separated Sebastian Vettel at the top and Alex Albon, who just scraped through into Q3 there. Everyone, apart from Sergio Perez, separated by just 6 tenths of a second. So a very, very close qualifying session in the end. But it's Alex Albon who gets through into Q3. Both Red Bulls, a McLaren, a Renault, both 2-2 Motorsport cars, both Mercedes and both Ferraris into Q3. It feels more like 2020 vibes with our cars in there as well now. Anyway, let's dive in then to Q3. Hopefully, we can get that 105 hooked up. Heading into Q3 then, we've actually got 3 sets of tyres for this session. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get 3 runs in, I don't think, realistically. But yeah, where we obviously got through into Q3 on those mediums, and we never had to use a set of softs, we got 3 sets ready for this final qualifying session, so we may as well try and save one of them for the Grand Prix. Let's see, though, if we can get a good lap hooked up. Decent run through Turn 1, a bit sloppy through Turn 2. Give ourselves the shortest run out of Turn 3, just save us little fractions of time everywhere where possible here. Down in towards Turn 4, brake just after the 100 board, a little bit wide, a little bit ragged through there, but we were purple in Sector 1. Now we head down into the twisty bits. It just feels insane how quick you can go through there, almost back into 7th gear as you head now into the hairpin section around this track. You just got to be so patient on the throttle. Obviously use the elevation, use the undulation of the circuit to try and help you out as well. A little bit of understeer there, but we're going to try and give ourselves a straighter run so we can get down on the power just that little bit earlier. In towards Jungsao, the final proper corner of the lap. We're actually a 10th down on Daniel Ricciardo there, who is the benchmark, so it hasn't been a particularly good lap up to this point, but we should be a little bit quicker at the top end as we head down towards the start-finish straight here. Shortest run to the line, it's going to be a 106.309 then in the end, so a little bit off where we wanted to be, but there's plenty more time to find. Let's give this another go. Here we go then, ready for our final run in Q3. It's currently Valtteri Bottas who is on pole position. Could our pole streak come to an end as a team here? It's about half a tenth up on our teammate George Russell, so it is definitely not over just yet, but we need to try and find about another half a second if we want to be within a shout of one of the top spots there. Not a particularly good run in towards Turn 1, nowhere near late enough on the brakes, as that's been a horrible run through the first couple of corners here. We're already 2 tenths down on our previous lap. We can't afford to start bottling qualifying sessions this late on into the year. Through Turn 4, a little bit of a better run this time round. Now it's just a case of seeing if we can try and find back a lot of the time that we just lost at the start of the lap. A little bit just being really, really cautious at the moment. We need to concentrate and try and claw back some of this time through Sector 2. Just a bit too early on the power there. That's going to cost us again. Russell, a 1:05.4. Holy moly, what a lap coming in from our teammate towards the end of qualifying. We're still down on our previous lap through Jung Sao. Try and get in the power as early as we can. We're going to be about 1/10.5 up at the end, which isn't particularly great. Hopefully it'll find us a couple of positions, however, as we head up towards the start-finish line. We're going to be way off our teammate. It's going to be a 1:06.1. Where's that going to put us in the end? I think it's 7th place, which isn't good at all in the end there. We just couldn't get the lap hooked up in Q3. It is, yeah, only 7th.
Before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Russell, Bottas and Max Verstappen. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
So not the qualifying session we needed in the end, but George Russell put in a dominant lap at the end of qualifying there to keep the streak alive. What's that, 6 races in a row now? One of our cars has got pole position, but Bottas joins him on the front row. Verstappen and Hamilton row 2. Sainz and Vettel row 3. And myself down in 7th place there. I don't know what happened. We definitely could have been around sort of Verstappen and Bottas, but struggling quite to get everything out of the car this weekend, which doesn't bode well as we head into the race. But let's just get our head down. We've got a good strategy ahead of us. Let's dive in then here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache Interlagos for the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Formula One returns to Sao Paulo once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Brazilian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. 2 very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Jun Sao into one of the 2 DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. That was a great win in the last race. Could they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Sainz, Sebastian Vettel, Mr. Monaco, Ricciardo, Ocon, Albon, and Charles Leclerc. Russell, they've taken a grid penalty. Norris, Pierre Gasly, and Raikkonen, Kvyat, Perez, Lance Stroll, and Kevin Magnussen, De Vries, Matsushita, Latifi, and Jordan King. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Jeff here, radio check. Check, check, can you hear me? Okay, we had a fantastic result at the last race. Let's try it again here.
So, big news then heading into this Brazilian Grand Prix. George Russell has actually taken a 10-place grid drop due to changes there, and it's a dry to wet to slightly drier race. This could get very spicy. Perhaps these medium tyres that we qualified on carry even more value now heading into this race. But yeah, that's why we need to focus a bit more on the durability heading into next season. We can't afford to obviously see our teammate George Russell starting down the order when he doesn't need to be. But we need to keep it clean through the first couple of corners. Valtteri Bottas, you can see him just there in the distance. He hopefully will, well, I say hopefully, for us I hope he doesn't, but for himself will hopefully hold on to the lead through the first couple of corners and then can try and dictate the pace there on his medium compounded tyres. But he has got a very feisty Max Verstappen alongside him, who I'm sure would love to win this race once again. But yeah, we need a good, clean, tidy start. It's probably going to be more damage limitation on the first lap because obviously pretty much everyone around us is on softs and we're on the mediums, so we need to try and make this work. Keep it clean, keep it tidy, and see where we end up then. Here we go. Ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's decided many championships before. It might do the same today. It's 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go. Off to a clean start as we head into turn 1. A little bit of contact as someone turns in on us. I think we were going 3 wide there for just a moment between myself and Ocon as well as Daniel Ricciardo. But Verstappen, though, does crucially move up into the lead of the Grand Prix. It looks like Bottas is going backwards as Hamilton looks to try and look round the outside of his teammate. Oh, that was scary on lap 1. But Hamilton, yeah, now is the inside as we head up in towards Sector 2. Look at Sainz trying to get in there with the Mercedes cars as well. Obviously, McLaren have taken home a race victory in this career mode, but it was way back at Season 1 Spanish Grand Prix there. And yeah, Bottas has dropped to 3rd. We've held on to our grid position, however, so a good little start for ourselves. It's going to be very, very interesting, though, to see when the rain does arrive in this race, because if it arrives just after we pit, it'll really, really screw us. But if the soft runners can't make it and we can on our mediums, it could really turn this into a bit more of a classic duel between myself and Valtteri Bottas. Got a lot of overspeed on Sebastian Vettel out of the final couple of corners, running out of ERS as we head up to the finish line. We should still have the top end speed over the Ferrari. Try to hook it up round the outside, or almost contact between myself and Seb, obviously in his penultimate ever Formula 1 Grand Prix. But we do get round him in the end, so we're up a spot off the start of this race. Look at that, Seb now having a good defensive from Esteban Ocon as well, as we head into Sector 2 once again. Hopefully now we can settle down into a bit of a rhythm here. Next up, Sainz.
Rain is imminent. Rain is imminent. Be careful out there. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
There we go then. Jeff saying that rain is imminent in this Grand Prix, so that probably doesn't bode all too well for ourselves, Bottas and our teammate. But I've got no idea what Sainz had on his cereal this morning, because he is absolutely rapid around this track. He is applying so much pressure to Bottas. We're not even taking any time out of the McLaren man at the moment. But yeah, really, really just struggling to get into a rhythm around this track. Missing our braking points, not able to get on the power as early as I'd like in a couple of places as well here. So the medium's not working the way I wanted it to. But hopefully, yeah, we can just sort of snap into a bit of a better rhythm, try and find some pace around this track. Oh, there's the flash of rain. End of lap 6, so things are about to get interesting here from the Brazilian Grand Prix. Still, we can only hope that actually it doesn't rain all too much over the next few laps, and that it still works out well for Bottas and ourselves. But we are now finally starting to take a little bit of time out of Carlos Sainz. Now, though, the rain might change that all around once again. Could be setting itself up to be an absolute cracker and a classic Brazilian Grand Prix. We've got 2 drivers in the title battle, neither of them leading this race. Neither of us really want to take any big risks as well here at the moment, but we've just got to try and keep it clean. However, every point does still matter between myself and Bottas. If the race were to finish right now, he'd take 5 points out of me, so we'd head into Abu Dhabi with a 3-point margin over Valtteri Bottas. He has gone into, obviously last year he went into the final race with the championship lead and got it snatched away from him by Lewis Hamilton. This year though, he might be coming in on the back foot. However, there's still 28 laps to go of this race. What's the new strat? Team are still recommending hards. Definitely not wet enough just yet. I can't remember exactly just how long the softs were able to go last season, but I think it can't have been much more than about 12, 13 laps around this circuit. We're already on to lap 10, and obviously with the rain, it won't be helping them out in terms of wear as well, so maybe it'll still work out rather nicely for them. But in a perfect world, they'd sort of get pushed into having to pit early, and it would be a case of whether they take the gamble or not. We are still taking a few tenths out of Sainz, though, lap after lap at the moment, and therefore we're closing in on Bottas as well. Oh, yellow flag's out. Seems that one of the Alfa Romeos has had to pull over to the side of the track as things are just getting a little bit damper at the moment. I don't think we're far away from the crossover. If we got a safety car now, I would be inclined to dive it in for a set of the Inters. We'll get it set up ready to go anyway. Nobuharu Matsushita, there we go, safety car has now been deployed. We're going to take the risk here. I know it's interesting to go for, but I just think, like, at the moment, we're getting very, very close to a wet period. So if we can make this work, we are in for a good race ahead of us. Make sure we get it slowed down into the pit lane. But yeah, no one else following us in. However, yeah, just a couple of times that lap slipping and sliding around just a little bit more than I liked. So we're gonna take the gamble in this race. Hopefully it works out for us. I do hope this doesn't cost us Drivers' World title, I'll be honest. But yeah, we should come out about... Oh, I don't know where we're going to be. About... Oh, God. Well, I hope the track now gets a whole lot wetter, a whole lot quicker, as we clearly just understeering around just a little bit. Careful on the exit of the pits. That's not helped us out one bit. Oh, there we go. Danny Kvyat behind us dives into the pits, so I'm intrigued to know what strategy he's now going on to in this race. I did and ah whether we should just pit in and get a fresh wing on the car as well, but I think actually a lot of the understeer was down to the fact that tyres were pretty cold. So they're saying this rain should even out. That doesn't really give us a lot of information, I'll be honest, Jeff. But yeah, Danny Kvyat then. What tyres has he got onto? Let's check the race director. Ooh, Danny Kvyat's onto the Inters as well then, so that is hopefully a good sign for ourselves. Maybe we're going to see a lot more cars into the pits at the end of this lap. Therefore, in the perfect world, the safety car will be in as well. New strat available on the MFD. The team's still saying softs though, so I really have got no idea whether we've made a good call here or not. Safety car is coming in then at the end of this lap. Why won't it let us accelerate? Come on, let us at least keep up with the AI game. My foot was planted to the floor then, but everyone in front of us, or most of the cars in front, are all streaming into the pit lane here, so this has worked out beautifully for ourselves and Danny Kvyat. We took the gamble, and it appears to be paying off as a bit of understeer through the first corner. Don't quite think there's a huge advantage to be had just yet. I'm sure our front wing damage probably isn't helping us out all too much as well, but it's very, very quickly going to turn further in our favour. So yeah, Danny Kvyat and myself with potentially a bit of a strategy masterclass here to leapfrog ourselves past everyone. Now look at the traction! No, 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 that was not what we needed. Let those guys past us, flick it back round. That's been dramatic, to say the least. So Sainz now is actually the first guy behind us on the Inters, but that surely now means Danny Kvyat is into the lead of this Grand Prix, and that was a very, very scary moment. Let's just get the tyres back working where they should be. We've still got 5 seconds over Carlos Sainz behind. But yeah, Danny Kvyat now, theoretically, has got about an 8-second lead over ourselves in this Grand Prix. Who would have called that at the start of the day? Let's just wait and see, though, whether the last few of the AI are going to dive into the pits. DRS has been disabled. So the rear tyres even, sorry, I should say, just struggling a bit with grip as Kvyat's into the pits again. What on earth is Kvyat doing in this race? Magnussen now leads the way out of nowhere. I've got no idea what the AI strategy are planning at the moment. Bottas opted to stay out for one more lap, and he's going to get jumped by Carlos Sainz. So I thought Kvyat was leading this race. He's thrown that completely out the window. We've now got Magnussen leading a race for Haas. I don't think that's happened at any time this season either. But yeah, just struggling a bit with rear temps at the moment, hence why we dropped it. Hopefully we can just settle down to a good rhythm again. Magnussen having to just tiptoe through the final couple of corners. It was a good idea by Haas just to see if it did get any wetter, but it's not going to work out for Kevin Magnussen. You're going to see the run we're able to get on him out of the final few corners there up towards the start-finish line, and we are now up into the lead of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Sainz still holding on to P2. Ocon now up into 4th, Ricciardo into 5th. I think that would be Red Bull's best result of the year as well. The tyres do seem to be gripping up a little bit more now. But yeah, with the little bit of front wing damage, just struggling a bit to find some confidence with the car. Lap 17, we're pretty much now at the halfway stage of this race. The rain is getting worse, says the team, but Sainz is still driving like a man possessed at the moment. He's very, very much matching us at this stage of the race. Bottas isn't able to get around him as well. So perhaps that is just Sainz's raw pace at the moment. He just seems to be phenomenally quick. I think those 2 laps we did under safety car kind of shredded a lot of the extra grooves on these Inters, so they're not working quite the way I wanted them to. But we just got to keep our head down and focus and see if it gets wet enough for the full wets, because that's what it looked like before the race started. End of lap 19, we're now starting to get back into a rhythm that we should be expecting from the car. I'm a little bit worried if Bottas is able to get around Carlos Sainz here, that we might then struggle to defend from the flying Finn, but at the moment, everything's just starting to work out for us again. It seems crazy when you look back at races recently, just how quickly they seem to ebb and flow in our favour or not. Lap 20 though, still a long way to go in this race, a lot can change. End of lap 22, we're just trying to put a few laps under our belt at the moment. Imagine if Brazil was still the championship decider. Why is Abu Dhabi got to come after such a brilliant track? I mean, already this race would have been an instant classic, and we're only just over the halfway stage. But yeah, I mean, at certain points, Bottas would have been world champion, we would have been world champion, but no. I mean, it works out nicely for us. Now we're in the lead, but yeah, just always gutted that this place doesn't get to host season finales anymore, because it held a couple of truly iconic ones, and I guess I was just around in the right era of F1 to enjoy them.
We think you're going to start losing some tyre grip around now.
The team saying we're going to start to lose tyre grip though. I have got it set up for a set of full wets and a front wing change when we do need to pit. It is meant to supposedly get towards full wets and then actually clear up a bit towards the end. So maybe we might see more split strategies. That's not helped us.
New strategy option.
Oh, there we go. End of lap 25. The team is saying wet at the end of the next lap, so they do believe now it's wet enough to make the change. Luckily, no one behind us has stopped. Actually, our teammate as well as Ricciardo have both opted to dive it into the pits. We've got to be careful that we don't get undercut by those guys. We should be alright, I think. More importantly, though, Bottas has stayed out, and we're obviously much more focused on trying to cover off him as a few more cars into the pits. Hopefully, they don't suddenly take out loads of time off us. I genuinely don't think it's worth pitting at the moment in this Grand Prix. We're going to stay out for another lap here around this Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. I just cannot see a way. Those guys are taking a lot of time out of us on those full wets at the moment. The pace still feels good. And obviously we struggled so much when we moved over onto the wets, or onto the inters I should say. And the team there straight away saying the track's meant to be getting a bit drier quite soon in this race. So maybe if we just hang on for a couple of laps, we can afford to lose a few seconds, because the AI might have to double pit in this race. What are the team saying now? They're still saying full wets, however. We're taking another big gamble in this race, but so far they've paid off. Let's see if this one does the same. End of lap 27. I mean, there's still a faint dry-ish line around this circuit, so as long as we stay on that, we should be okay. It's risky, I'll be honest, but I'm a little bit worried. Obviously, if we got the front wing change, everything like that, we'd actually lose out quite a bit of time to the AI around us. Sainz was about 21.5 behind, and he's still about 21.5 behind, so I don't really think we're losing too much in this at the moment. The only thing I am really worried about at the moment is actually the tyre wear. Oh, someone's got issues. I'm not too sure who they said that was, unfortunately. But yeah, the only thing I'm worried about at the moment is actually just trying to keep the tyres from maybe running out of there in this race. But the gap to Sainz, pretty much staying even at the moment. I wonder if, obviously, if Bottas was able to get around him, if the Mercedes will be taking a fair bit of time out of us. But that's not what we've got to focus on at the moment. Sainz, yeah, has taken a tenth out of us on that last lap. This is working out rather nicely at the moment. That's exactly the call we like to hear from Jeff, saying he's happy with the tyres we're on at the moment. And I think the question now turns away from can Sainz take the time out of us to more so whether the tyres will last to the checkered flag. The gap, yeah, pretty much still holding level as it has done throughout the entirety of this stint so far. And look, no, sorry, I thought for a second there Sainz just dived it back into the pits, but not quite just yet. 5.5 laps to go here from Interlagos. We need to try and keep these tyres in check. 4 laps to go then here from the Brazilian Grand Prix. The gap now actually has jumped under 20 seconds, but the tyres are really starting to go off on this car. I'm rather worried we might get a puncture before this race is done and dusted, but the inters generally seem to fare a little bit better than the dries when it comes to punch territory. You can see just there getting a little bit loose as we try to put the power down, but we just got to try and get this thing to the flag, being as careful as we can at the moment without throwing away too much time. There we go. 3 to go. The track seems to be getting drier once again. Are we now going to see the cars of Sainz, Bottas, Ricciardo and Russell into the pits once again? We've survived the storm, literally, in this race, but no, they opt to stay out for another lap here. I can't imagine those full wets are going to be rather any good in these now more intermediate conditions once again, but to be honest, I can't imagine ours are either. On to the final lap then of this Brazilian Grand Prix. The tyres, we got one of the rears at over 70% now, so we could end up just like Hamilton did in real life with a puncture on the final lap of this Grand Prix. But what a brilliant Brazilian Grand Prix it has been though. We really have had everything thrown at us here today. We've been rather lucky. God, I say that. Maybe we won't be rather lucky at the end of this. Bear in mind, remember at one point we did spin it by ourselves in this race, and still somehow we've ended up now with a 22-second lead as we head on to the final lap. My driver of the day, though, has surely got to be Carlos Sainz. What a worldie he's been able to pull off today, and potentially a critical worldie for our Drivers' Championship as well. Russell and Ricciardo going side by side, though, as we're just struggling with the understeer. That would be good if Russell can get round the Red Bull, and I think he's done it on the final lap of this race as they head down in towards turn 4. Our tyres just completely gone off at this stage of the day, but as we head through the final few corners, I just don't think, I'm almost saying that a bit too early, I just don't think there's enough time for Sainz to close up the gap in towards Zhengzhou for one final time in this Grand Prix. It is going to be back-to-back race victories here in this season. We're going to pull out another 10 points over Bottas. We've set ourselves up beautifully for the finale in Abu Dhabi. It is victory here at Interlagos.
Fantastic drive, just fantastic. You deserved that race win.
There's a few disappointed faces up and down the pit wall after that one, but not here. They've secured a phenomenal victory. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
But there's no question in my mind, it has to go to George Russell. What a performance. He's got every right to be proud of what he accomplished out there today.
Let's move on to the constructors. The current championship leaders still hold top spot, but that gap is getting smaller. There was also a strong showing from the Mclaren team today as they make their way up the standings. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So there we are then, guys, the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it is another race victory for our 212 Motorsport squad. We've won every race, we've had every pole since the Singapore Grand Prix between myself and George Russell, but 2 in a row, I think for only the second time this season as well there. Sainz gets his second podium here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. He must absolutely love this track, obviously claiming it in the real-life 2019 race, which is, yeah, fair. No, not particularly similar, actually, to this race. I was getting muddled up then for a brief moment. Bottas, our title rival, down in P3. Really, he should have got past Sainz and probably, therefore, could have threatened us a whole lot more in that Grand Prix there. But Russell, a fantastic job from 11th to 4th. When all is said and done, Ricciardo getting some good points for Red Bull ahead of Ocon, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris making it McLaren double points haul, and Perez and Pierre Gasly rounding out the top 10 there. Verstappen missed out on points. Kvyat missed out on points. Raikkonen, Hamilton, Vettel and Albon all missed out on points there, with Magnussen coming last and Matsushita the only one not to make it to the checkered flag. But that means constructors-wise, Drivers' Championship-wise even, we have an 18-point lead heading into the final race of the season. We only need P6, if I'm not mistaken, to wrap up the Drivers' Championship. Bigger news though, George Russell now moves himself up to P4 ahead of Vettel and Max Verstappen there after another great result by him. He could, if he got rather lucky, actually outscore Hamilton at the end of the season, but yeah, he might require a bit of, a bit of an insane race to be able to do that one. Sainz moves up the order past Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Norris and Albon up into 12th place, but that was the only other mover after that Grand Prix. Means constructors-wise, 4 points separate myself and Valtteri Bottas. Now, they've been in a bit of a battle. Obviously, last season round, they went into the finale with a shot at both world titles. So they've been here before. We, on the other hand, are going into this with no previous experience of fighting for both the Drivers' and a Constructors' Championship. It is going to be absolutely critical that we get everything out of the car in the finale tomorrow at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But yeah, the second season in a row, though, everything heads to Abu Dhabi. It all goes down to the wire. Further down the order, though, McLaren jump back past Red Bull and AlphaTauri. They're a critical result for the team there to move back up into 7th place, but it is all still to play for between those three teams there. Maybe if McLaren get another great race like that, they might even be able to jump Alfa Romeo as well just in front of them. But yeah, it is all going down to the wire then. You guys do not want to miss it. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will be back tomorrow where we head to Abu Dhabi. Let's try and beat Bottas and Mercedes and finally end their run. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.